Hi guys. Today we'll be examining case study number 2. This case study from the Human Kinetics textbook on case studies is over the topic of mobile apps for sports teams in 2013 and how that affects their branding. My name is Joshua Tarafa. I study at Loyola University of Chicago, and let's get into it. This sample of 72 sports teams, these teams were from the five major sports leagues at the time: NBA, NHL, the NFL, the MLS, and the WNBA. They were chosen based on the prevalence of their teams with mobile apps at the time. The MLB had not yet had individual team apps. They had synthesized their team apps all into the MLB mobile apps. So that's why they were not chosen as one of the major sports leagues to examine for this study. And the MLS and WNBA had a very small portion of the 72 team sample. And for that reason, for one of the research questions, they were excluded from the study due to their low contribution to the overall sample. Now, let's get into a little bit more about what this research was. This research examined through coding the product based attributes and the non product based attributes that were included in each team's mobile app. So, for example, for the product based attributes, the study examined how prevalent the team's success, the inclusion of their star players, their head coach, the team members, and the team performance was in their mobile app. As you can see here, the inclusion of team members and team performance was included by the majority of the sample at 63 teams out of the 72 each. However, only 4 teams, for example, included information about their star players and content related to their star players in their mobile app as of 2013. The study also examined non-product based attributes. These product non-product based attributes include logo, team colors, history, owner information, location of the team, and the team's management, to the extent that these are explicitly included in the mobile app. As you can see here, similarly to the product based attributes category, the majority of teams included a logo and their team's official colors in their mobile app. However, very few included information such as the team's history, the owner's information, or the team's management, more or less the team's front office information. A decent amount of teams at 29 included the explicit location of the team during the course of the study it was found. So now let's get into some of the research questions that were asked at the end of this case study, and I can give you guys my take on them. The first question was related to why don't teams include in their mobile apps information about the success of the team and their championships in the past? And then how can they include them if they were to? So, as I stated before, only 8 of the 72 apps studied in 2013 featured information about the team's success. That year, it was noted that 3 reigning champions from the NFL, NBA, and NHL were the Baltimore Ravens, Miami Heat, and Los Angeles Kings. Only one of those 3 teams included anything about them winning the championship following their season. So these apps are clearly designed for service. They're service driven and they're seeking to build brand loyalty to all fans. New fans, and especially the younger generation of fans, which is what is primarily using these mobile apps, are potentially turned off by the legacy and failure of some of these teams. Not every team has a rich history to share, but that's my suggestion. If a team does not have a pedigree of winning championships, that doesn't mean that the team doesn't have a history to share. And in these mobile apps, these teams could include team history such as very exciting seasons that the team had pulled off, legends who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. These kinds of decisions will invoke licensing issues potentially and include payment to these icons. However, if these kinds of deals can be pulled off, these are strategies to then include the history tab in these mobile apps without it being directly tied to success and championships. The second question was how can teams integrate user generated content on their mobile apps? So user generated content is very important so that the users can feel like they're a part of the team and like they're feeling a part of the behind the scenes access. So some teams already included game day photo to scoreboard opportunities in which the fan takes a picture and then it can later be put on the scoreboard during the game. I suggest using contests to show off consumer fandom. Let the fans post their jersey collections or memorabilia and show who is really the strongest fan of the team. These are your super fans that might be downloading your app. And then fantasy sports are a growing industry, especially now with the legalization of sports betting. So discussion boards and advice columns are always welcome for fans to engage with one another and generate their own content through their comments. And the last question we'll be examining today is, why is content related to a team's star player conspicuously missing from mobile apps? We saw that only a few teams included any information about the star player on their mobile app. One explanation for this that I would postulate is that there's a very volatile nature in the sports business and especially in the player market. Players can be traded or cut at any time. While the star player's chances of being cut are very low, if there's an off field incident, it is definitely possible. And then trading at any time for the betterment of the team could be possible. And that would then damper the mobile app and all marketing strategies if they're strongly integrated into every aspect of them. If the star players are not, then they can be traded freely, and then the marketing campaigns are not shot and have to be redone. So finally, I include a screenshot from three local sports teams here in Chicago: the Chicago Fire, the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bulls. Oddly enough, the Chicago Blackhawks actually do not have a mobile app of their own outside of the NHL app. They are similarly, like the MLB, incorporated into one app. And all three of these apps, if you will notice, have very similar tabs, including tickets, schedule, team information, more or less the players that are on the team, no direct information about star players, and no tab for team history. As I looked in each of these apps, and I could not easily access any team history except for the Bears, who had a fan press release for the upcoming season that on page 155 included team history. So, not that much has changed from some of these findings in 2013. So now I'm going to just give you my overall thoughts. I think there is a lot of work and opportunity that are still to come in these apps. As we can see, over the last 7 years, not a lot has changed from the results findings, and that's relatively disappointing. However, it is calculated as risks that some of these companies are trying to take and ways that they're trying to brand themselves to their fans. Many older fans who may be diehard fans are not even using the apps yet, as they're not as adept with social media and connecting accounts and downloading apps in general, or even an owner of a smartphone potentially. However, all of these things are ways to build brand loyalty, and the more content that can be provided to the fan to feel loyal to the brand is very important. And I'd advise these teams to look into these kinds of studies and figure out if it's worth adding tabs in the content areas of history or potentially star players in a way that still doesn't integrate them so much to the marketing strategies that they can still be traded freely and not ruin a marketing campaign. Okay, guys, that's it. That's all I have for you today. Thank you, and stay tuned for another case study in the near future.